Hey, this is Amrita Bradley, creator of Breaking Bosses. And this morning I've got the pleasure of having a chat with Tom Robb. So, Tom is the founder of Life is the Way. And I've been following Tom for a little while. And this is a guy who's got a lot of lived experience. This is a guy who's, been there, done that. And when he's teaching and when he's, you know, um, guiding people through, it's based on real experience and really getting down into the trenches and understanding what people are going through and helping them from that point. So Tom, tell me a little bit about your background. And
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. Um, I I can probably start from now and work backwards. I am a NTT practitioner, which is neurotransformation therapy and also timeline therapy. I've got my yoga and meditation qualification and have been teaching that for the last probably 7 or so years. And then also work in outdoor education and have a diploma and degree in that. And so really my my work is a conglomeration of all of these different things where actually the ultimate outcome is to start running massive 5-day mental health programs where you incorporate nature connection, adventure therapy, as well as all of the yoga, meditation, journaling practices, and as many different concepts and theories as I can possibly pack in there to make the biggest value bursting trip of a lifetime. And I mean, really, when you look at experiences, I did year 12. I was bullied at school, and amongst all of that, even though I did get bullied, I also had a lot of people coming up to me all of my life, actually, just asking for advice and asking what they think I should, what they think that, what I think they should do in any kind of given situation. And that's been happening for such a long time. And I guess for me, outside of that, I've really dived into lots of reading and my own sort of, I'd say personal study. I've now read up to 106 books that are quite well renowned authors like Urquhart Tolle, Robin Sharma, Maisie Hill, Hilary Jacob. There's anything you can think of, stuff on anxiety, depression, breathwork, yoga, meditation, tantric sex. There's no topic that I don't feel that I've covered within this array of different books.
right, you're my kind of guy, Tom, because I absolutely love talking about anything taboo. I love taking topics that people are either too afraid about or too embarrassed about and bring oxygen to those. So it normalizes it. Like, we are humans. We do have sex. We do have, concerns with, I don't know, any number of things. And if we hide that, if we don't talk about it, then it becomes, something that boxes us in. It becomes something that we don't have tools, we don't have knowledge about. So, this is fantastic stuff, like being able to talk about the stuff that people won't talk about. Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about Life is the Way and how that came to be.
Life is the way it came to be. I was working as a speaker for probably about 4 years before I had a name for what I wanted to sort of, let's call Life is the Way. It's almost like an umbrella where everything that I do fits under. My audience demographic is schools, corporates, community, and one-on-one. And so I wanted a brand, like I wanted something that kind of spoke to what it is that I was doing. And Life Matters came up, but that was already taken, and School of Life, and that was already taken. And I just kept kind of marinating on what this could be. And it wasn't until I actually met a couple in a van, and I was at a holiday house of mine in Noosa, and I said, "Oh, come back if you want to and hang out. You can have a hot shower and a meal, and you guys are legends, and let's just catch up and do our thing." And they said, "Oh, so you were just saying that, you know, for 7 years you wanted to become a speaker and you just didn't do anything towards it. Like, why did it take so long?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know. I think life just gets in the way." Actually, wait a minute. That's not true. Life is the way. Oh my God. And the guy's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Fuck, life is the way. That's it. Like that's the that's the brand. That's it. That's the name." And so Life is the Way became this backdrop where it's everything. It's everything. It's like, it's not just mental health and yoga and meditation and spirituality. It's getting out in nature, it's connection, it's laughter, it's silliness, it's reconnecting with the inner child. Like, it's such a broad it's such a broad brand because I don't want to be like everybody else out there. And it's like, I just feel like there's so much severity in mental health and anything like that. And there should be, like, there really should be. But at the same time, like, let's not forget to play and to invite in some curiousness and, you know, compassion and all of these other different attributes that I feel, you know, together really assist in living a great life. It's
Yeah,
like,
and I think that's really important what you just touched on there, Tom, because, you know, look, I've had my own experiences, and sometimes you just can't talk to the intellectual mind. Like the intellectual mind, you can say something, you can reason to it, and then within 5 minutes later, you can completely reason yourself out of it. So, you know, these ideas of play and embodiment and getting down, you know, into the different depths of ourselves can sometimes give us the answer that our intellectual mind either can see or not see and accept or not accept. But, you know, sometimes you can just feel through the issue and figure out what you need to do because it feels right or it feels natural. Yeah.
Totally.
So, Rob, when you're working with people and they come to you with either a blockage or a challenge or a desire, walk me through how you might work with that person.
Okay, great question. Actually, the first thing I would do before anything is have what's called a discovery call with them, which is really finding out, like what you've just said, exactly what's going on for them, which means kind of where they are currently, and then work out where they want to be. So what we're doing is essentially building a bridge between those two places. This is where they are. They want to be over here. And so my job is to get them over to this place. Now, that discovery call isn't just that, it's also having a conversation and just figuring out whether or not for me and for them we could go and get a coffee together. Because at the end of the day, if I didn't like you or you didn't like me, right, I'm not necessarily liked by everybody, we can't dive as deep as we could if we were like, oh wow, this feels great, this feels really natural and familiar, and like I've known you for 5 years or whatever it might be. Like I'm really trying to build rapport with that person. Like for me, I'm not working in my integrity if I think, oh yeah, I can get you through this, but then I think, oh, I don't really like your morals and values on life for whatever reason that might be. I mean, that's never actually happened. There's not been a single person thus far that I haven't worked with, but I'm sure one day it'll happen. It's just about making sure that the camaraderie is there. Now, once that's established and I'm like, yeah, this is going to work, we can totally work together and I'm looking forward to it. The way that I would assist that person in getting them to where they want to be is really through a bunch of different processes and practices that I give them. But more than that, it's actually through deep questioning. You know, I'll always say this: a good coach will give you the answers. It's very kind. A great coach will ask you the right question so that you say the answer yourself, and that's much more empowering than having someone just, you know, sit there and tell you their answer.
You know what I really love about that, Tom? I really love the fact that, you know, the compassion around, you know, what you do and the way that you interact with your clients, that camaraderie. And you know what else? You know, when I'm looking for someone to work with, I actually just want someone who cares. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, I've got to pay them money because we've all got to, you know, eat and pay rent and everything else. But it's when that sense of care and compassion overshadows the money, right? That's when I know that I'm onto a good thing. When it's more about the money than it is about how well I'm going to do out of it, then, you know, then I know that we're not a match, we're a miss. But yeah, I want to really focus in on this deep questioning a little bit about, because you've touched on a few things. You've touched on yoga and you've touched, you know, on neural processing. I want to delve a little bit more into this deep questioning. Give me a couple of examples on some deep questioning. So let's just say I come to you and I say, oh, I'm really stagnated. I'm really stuck. I don't know what to do next. Run me through some deep questioning around that.
Stuck and stagnated. I don't know what to do next. I mean, it's almost just like following a thread. So I might be like, okay, why do you feel stuck and stagnated? and you have to answer. This is the thing. Like, if we do this, you have to pretend like
Yeah.
you're
We can
stuck
do
and
it. We can do a role
stagnated.
play
So
if you want. I'll make stuff up.
let's do a role play.
Okay.
And Marita, why do you feel stuck and stagnated? Tell me that.
I don't know. I just don't think I'm living to my fullest potential. I just think there's so much more for me out there, and I just, just can't seem to reach it.
Can't seem to reach it or won't seem to reach it.
Oh, I just feel like I'm being blocked. I feel like I have all these great ideas, but nobody wants to support me in that, or I can't find the money for it, and I don't have the time for it. I just feel like I can't get to where I want to go.
And you've asked people for support, you've shared your ideas and they've been shut down, or is this more of an assumption?
Yeah, no. I've been like, throwing some, really innovative ideas out in my workplace, and, out to my friends, and, everyone just says, yeah, great idea. Or no, we don't. We can't help you with that right now. And I just sort of feel like everyone's blocking me from moving forward.
I mean, look, the thing that is coming up for me right now, really what you're talking about is breaking out of the box, pardon the pun. And anyone that you go to where you have an idea that is out of the norm, going on your own path, which is really expansive and creative and big, it's triggering for people, because let's be honest, we've all got ideas, we've all had childhood dreams, we've all wanted to do certain things, and for a lot of people that I've worked with personally, they haven't done those things because of their conditioning, because of whether it's been a narrative in their head that's been like, no, it's not going to work, stay small, stay safe, and just do your job and get on with life. Or whether it's been, like in your experience, other people saying, don't be silly, that's not going to work. But at the end of the day, people are consistently outwardly projecting what's going on in the landscapes of their being. So the first thing I would say is fire some friends. Like, if you've got some mates out there that aren't supporting you in your dreams and desires of what you're trying to achieve, either, I know it sounds harsh, get rid of them, or just don't choose to tell those kinds of people what's going on. Now, you're talking about feeling stuck and stagnated. Now, that could be happening for a myriad of reasons. I want to tap into that. What's making you feel stuck and stagnated? Is it just the fact that your ideas aren't being heard and validated, or is there other things beneath that going on?
Oh, gee, look, I don't know, Tom. I mean, just not getting to where I want to go. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I would say that you do know. I reckon let's have a look at, like, say, for instance, sleep, diet, movement, things like that. Like, how much sleep are you getting? What are you eating? And are you kind of getting out in nature? Because all of these things are paramount to a creative, fun, full-fledged existence. We know this, right? Like, I know this might seem like common sense, but sometimes it's just like a little bit of a push where you kind of recognize, you go, oh yeah, shit, actually, now I think of it, I've had like shit sleeps for the last month, and due to that fact, I'm not as motivated to eat great food, and due to that fact, I'm not as motivated to move my body as much, like stuck, stagnated. Let's go underneath that. Run me through your day. How's your day look?
Oh, okay. So I'm getting the role play there. Because I just want to have a bit of an example of it, and this could go on. This could go on for ages. So, but I want to talk more about what you're doing. I just want to give an example of how this might work if I was looking to use you as a mentor, or do one of your programs. But Tom, tell me about your program, Finding Your True North. Who's it for, and what the benefits may be for people participating in that program.
Great. Yes. So Finding Your True North is my flagship workshop. It's one of the biggest things I have on offer. And it really is an introduction into yoga, meditation, movement, story, connecting with the ego, reuniting with the inner child. It's a workshop designed to redefine your purpose and passion through story, stillness, and movement, while simultaneously deepening the connection that you have with yourself, first and foremost, others, and the environment. So it is a very, very deep workshop. It's very challenging from time to time, but it's also peppered in fun and playfulness and curiosity. And really, actually, it's probably aimed at anyone that feels stuck or stagnant, just like you were saying before. Come along, for sure. It's perfect for that. Anyone that feels like they're on the precipice of just wanting to break through the barriers of life and move into the next chapter of their existence. You know, it's giving people the courage, the confidence, the language to really just kind of step into their truth and their authentic self, and start doing the things that they were born to do. I've had people leave, like people have left and like quit their job or asked for a raise or moved towns or broken up with their shitty partner or moved into a bus or a carrot, like whatever. People have just left in this like heart open state going, oh my God, like what have I been doing this entire time? You know, almost recognizing that they've just been living to please and conforming to the norms of society, which doesn't actually serve them, their desires, or their dreams. And they've just been kind of living this existence, which isn't necessarily bad. It's just not the path that they were kind of, like I said earlier, born to do. And forgive my French when I say this, but there's so many elements to it. I think one of the biggest ones is people walk away feeling this like fuck yesness to themselves, this like empowered readiness to just go forth and tackle life, you know, in all the different ways to get them to where they want to be. So it's amazing. It's a wonderful.
The word transformational comes to my mind when you tell me, you know, what you've just told me, like transformational. So, you know, but yeah, I think if people want to have that transformational experience, then they might just have to look you up and book into one of your programs. Because talking about it sounds great, but I think doing it, like actually taking the action and booking in and actually really stepping up to the plate, right? Stepping up to the plate and saying, you know what, I'm tired of this stagnation. I'm tired of, you know, whatever A, B, C, and D. And I'm actually now going to do something about it. And that's, I think, the step that a lot of people are afraid to take, because people sit in their stagnation or their suffering or whatever it is, not because they're happy there, but because it's comfortable, because they know it, it's familiar, they understand it. And even though it's not fantastic, it's safe, they get it, right? But if I'm then going to say, you know, I'm going to transform and I'm going to, I don't know, whatever you said, sell my house, change my job, leave my, you know, partner who's really, it's not a good relationship, so I'm going to leave. That's scary stuff. Transformation is really scary. You know why? Because it's unknown, right? This is unknown stuff.
Totally.
So what does it mean if I leave my job? What does it mean if I sell my house? What does it mean if I leave my partner? You know, so people have really got to feel comfortable and secure to make that big jump. You know, it's huge. It's huge stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, massive.
So, Tom, before you were talking about environment and relationship to nature, I want to touch on that a little bit, because there's so much going on with, you know, environmental changes. And you can see this. I mean, we're now in August 2023, and it feels like spring is already here. And that's really quite early for the region that I'm in. So there's a lot changing. You look in the news and, you know, Greece is on fire and China's underwater, and there's a lot going on that isn't normal, that isn't regular. Yeah. And I think if we as people, as a community, are just going to sit back and wait for, you know, big pharma to stop doing what they're doing and oil and coal companies to stop doing what they're doing, then nothing's ever going to change, right? Because they're motivated by money. So I think change has to come from us as individuals. So us doing one or two little things that's going to make the difference. So when, you know, 7 billion people stop using, you know, coffee cups, like, you know, disposable coffee cups, single-use plastics, that's going to make the difference. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about our relationship to nature and, you know, what we can do.
Yeah. So I'm pretty big on this one, especially because I've spent such a long time working in the outdoors as a guide, running different programs. And it feels to me imperative that we start taking more action and taking this whole thing more seriously. Actually, like as of 10 years before now, I think this could have started. It's like you said, I think it is a matter of starting with the individual self. I mean, it's very ambitious and optimistic, but still possible to look at government and go, oh, well, you know, it needs to start from the system down. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon unless we, the people, stop actually investing in the things that are destroying the planet. And it's for that sole reason that they won't stop, because it makes them the most amount of money. And really, I think that's what it comes down to, is it's the bigwigs of this place put their pockets before the planet, and they always have done so. You know, there's a great saying, if everyone was happy just the way they were, it wouldn't be good for business. And so many of our products and services are detrimental to the longevity of the planet. Now, for me, I think little things is good, you know, keep cups, no single-use plastics, having canvas bags, shopping at markets, you know, farmers markets, and getting local produce as opposed to going into Woolies or Coles. You know, all of these things, I feel it comes down to a level of convenience. It's convenient to not have to remember to grab your keep cup. It's convenient not to have to worry about getting your canvas bags. It's way easier to just roll into a Woolies and grab a couple of things of broccoli. You know, you don't have to plan a whole week of food in advance to then buy it all from the farmer's market. You can just think, oh, what are we doing tonight? It doesn't matter, because I can just go to the supermarket and grab whatever I need. But I mean, even the food that comes from those places is far from ideal. I mean, look, it works and we'll eat it and we'll gain sustenance from it, but it's, you know, it's sprayed, it's chemicalized, it's just not, it's nothing compared to what you would get at like a Whole Food farmers market or anything like that.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, the farmers are suffering as well. I mean, like, you know, the farmers are just like the amount of food waste because of, you know, a carrot isn't the right shape and the right length, you know, and then, you know, the fact that the farmers just get so little of the actual profits compared to what the big supermarkets are getting. So there is so many different, like, you know, imperatives and profits going on, you know, that we don't even see, we don't even look at.
Yeah, so true. And I mean, I kind of feel like it will take a long time, but to get to where we want to get to. But I think slowly but surely we are getting there. And for me, like, I've got a workshop on sustainability that I run, and I love running that workshop. And it talks about, you know, moving into more of a community-minded vibe. You know, even things like everybody in this whole street that I'm sitting in right now, they all have a lawnmower each, right? They all have a compost each, right? Like, imagine if one person had chickens and everyone's compost went to those chickens. Imagine if it was like 3 lawnmowers to, what am I saying? Like, one person mowed 3 people's lawns and then gave the lawnmower to the next person for the week after, and it was all shared. We've been, I feel, kind of separated from that community vibe, that tribal kind of way of living, and it's at a detriment to the longevity of the planet. So.
And I think what we need to remember is that Earth's resources are finite. Yeah, they're finite, and you know, we have to. I really believe that we have to remember that and think of them like that. That, like, you know, we're not just going to always turn on the tap and have everything that we want. And, you know, that renewable, you know, energy, planting your own food, being able to have some skills around growing your own food, and having things being recycled. You know, these are really important aspects. But so much of this can be done so simply by us. Yeah. Have a worm farm, right? Don't throw your food scraps into the rubbish. Put them into a compost bin, you know. Use that compost to then grow some food, you know. Then it won't be sprayed and it'll be fresh and it tastes great, actually.
So true.
Yeah, but all these little things is that what we have to do and come together as a community to, you know, support people who don't know how to do it, or to support people that may be struggling for some reason. So, you know, perhaps you might have an elderly neighbour that, you know, can't keep chooks, right? So, yeah, go around, collect a compost and give them to your chooks, or, you know, whatever. There's got to be something that we can do as a community or a street or as a neighbourhood that can support this to happen. Yeah.
So true.
Tom, I want to chat a little bit about these relationships, so relationship with the people and the environment, and how we give these oxygen, how we get this out into the public so people are talking about it and doing things.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just think the number one thing for everything in life is awareness. To have a level of awareness where you recognize and know that there is something that needs to be either said or done, or a behavior that you wish to see less of, and another behavior that you wish to see more of. It all comes down to a level of awareness. If you can be aware, first and foremost, that something needs to give, something needs to change, then you can start creating some kind of action plan to make that happen. Now, the saying that I will always and forever use that I love so much. I don't know who said it or where it comes from, but I use it in every single workshop. And the saying is hard conversation, easy life. Easy conversation, hard life. And it's the notion that between you and somebody else, your partner, your boss, your mum, your dad, your brother, your best friend, whatever it might be, you're feeling unsettled, uneasy because of something that happened last week, last month, last night, whatever it might be. And there's a conversation that needs to be had in order to move through whatever's happened, whatever the ordeal was. Now, easy conversation, hard life. What is this? This is like, they're not going to listen. They're not going to engage. They probably get angry. Screw it. I'll just talk about the weather. I'm just not going to worry about it. I'll talk about what's happening this coming weekend. Now, when someone makes that choice to do that, the ordeal and the feeling, the emotions and thoughts that they're having are still there. This weight on their shoulders doesn't just disappear, right? It takes time, it takes work, it takes energy, it takes a level of courage, let's say, to stand up and to speak into how whatever happened made you feel. And so, this particular person just wouldn't go there. And the question that I ask people in this moment is, are you showing up as authentically, as truthfully, with as much energy and presence and gusto and newness, right, to every other engagement in your life? You're not, right? If it's big enough, if the thing that happened is so big that it's like, we can all relate to this, like it's so big that when you go to sleep, you lie there not blinking, just going, oh my God, like, how am I going to fix this? Like that kind of gravitas when it comes to an ordeal makes it very challenging to show up as your true authentic self to other engagements. Hard conversation, easy life is the notion that you pluck up the courage and actually talk to the person that's upset you, or whatever's happened has happened, but have a conversation around that. And especially if they're your friend and they're amicable and there's a level of compassion there between the two of you. I've never once not had this go down anything but beautifully successful, because it comes from the heart, because you care about each other and you don't want to be feeling the way that you're feeling. And so you just talk to them. And when I share this, a couple of really important points here. Number one is to make sure you have a safe space, because no one wants to share any kind of secret in a space where they don't feel comfortable and safe. And number two, which is, I would say, equally as important, is to make sure that the person that you're chatting with has the time to hear you, because there is nothing worse. Well, that's a big thing to say. It's very uncomfortable to be having a conversation with someone and purging and pouring your heart and soul out. And then they go, Tom, mate, I really want to hear you out. I really do. I love what you're saying. I've got some reflections on it. I didn't mean what I said, but I've got to go. I've got an appointment. Like, can we catch this up down the track? And they leave, and I'm like, oh, and I get it, because I didn't ask, and they didn't tell, and they didn't know how long it was going to be. So it's a matter of just making sure that prior to jumping into such a big conversation, that it's a safe space. They've got time for it. They're ready for it. You're ready for it. You've sat with it for at least a day. You're not speaking through the anger or through the shame or through the sadness, because we know that when we allow emotions to take that kind of hold on us, the things that we might say may not be the truth of what we actually mean. By show of hands, who said something to someone else when they're angry and then reflected later and going, oh God, that was so silly. I didn't even mean that. Like, you've just spat this fire at them, and it serves no one. So it's just about kind of giving yourself the time to sit with it, to really feel what's going on, to give yourself the permission to feel it all. And once you've kind of done your own reflections, then coming forward and having a conversation with the person that you need to. That is, I feel, the quickest most efficient and productive way to move things through you and move forward in life is to have that conversation. And it's generally phenomenal because it's a growth. You know, you've met yourself at your edge and you've stepped over it by having the conversation. It's a growth for the other person as well, because they've now been gifted the realization that their actions and behaviors have upset you for whatever reason that might be. Or they might explain it in a way where you recognize that actually their actions and behaviors were completely fine, but it was a trigger that was within you of something that you haven't healed, of a childhood wound, you know, in the past or something like that. It can go both ways. Like, both people, no matter what, are going to learn something and grow from that conversation. So it's just, you know, I would say to everyone, find the space, make sure you're ready for it, make sure they're ready for it, have the conversation.
And two really important points that I hear in there, in addition to what you say, is that authenticity is key. Like, you have to be authentic in saying, this is what's going on for me. Yeah. And completeness. We're talking about a completeness here. We're not talking about, you know, just pretending that everything's okay, or, you know, not talking about it, shoving it under the rug and then just moving on with life, right? We're not talking about just getting over it. We're talking about a completeness, and we're saying, you know, this is what's going on for me. You know, I value you, and I want us to be friends, or I want our relationship to continue. And for that to happen, we need to deal with this, you know, this thing has happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So true.
Yeah. So, Rob, we've talked about a lot of things during this interview. As you said earlier, look, it's very broad and very general, and, you know, can touch a lot of things for a lot of people. But I want to really narrow it down to one key message. So what is the one thing that you want people watching this interview or thinking about working with you to know?
If I could map this into a minute, right, I would say follow your heart, dare to dream, and don't listen to your own narrative or anybody else that's going to tell you reasons why you can't do certain things. And to be really specific on this, you know, it's like, if you just lived through your heart and did the things that you truly wanted to do, and even if it can't be full time, at least on the side, you know, I believe wholeheartedly, and I've seen this, I've witnessed this, I've not experienced it because I'm not there yet, but I've spoken to enough people to know that this is true. A midlife crisis doesn't happen to anyone that followed their heart. It doesn't happen, right? If you went to school and did year 12 and joined the rat race, and you were told that you need to get a good paying job and have a white picket fence and start a family and earn loads of money and climb the hierarchical ladder, and you should be pumping out 80, 90-hour work weeks your entire life, and you've got no time for family and no time for your hobbies and passions, that particular styled individual, through no fault of their own, will hit 40 and go, what have I been doing my entire life? And then go and buy a Harley Davidson and hit Route 44 or whatever it's called. But the people that stick to this, right, and they make time for themselves and their loved ones and their passions and their hobbies, and they choose a job that they love, or they might find a job that they don't love as much, but the byproduct of that job is they get to have the family and the environment in which they live, you know, and the time to spend doing their hobbies and passions. These people hit 40 and go, what's a midlife crisis? I feel amazing. Like, just be yourself, follow your heart, dare to dream. Don't let, you know, we are conditioned through our own egos to stay safe. And by virtue of staying safe, we stay small. It's as simple as that. That our ego is a primal, what would you call it? It's like a primal thing, for use of a better word, that makes sure that you stay alive all of the time. And when you come up with a crazy idea to take on the new job, yeah, you might fail, but you're not going to die. So get out there and give it a go and live your life and follow your heart, and just life is a process of elimination. And if things don't work, you don't lose, you learn.
Beautiful. I love that. Life is a process of elimination. You don't lose, you learn. That is gold. Okay, so Tom, thank you very much for speaking with us today.
So welcome. Thanks for having me.
We will put in the links, in the comments below, some links to Tom's work. So if you're interested in doing some one-on-one work or some community work or some corporate work, get onto Tom and see what he's got to offer.
Awesome. Thanks,
Okay.
Amrita.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
By going in, clear the noise. By going through the feelings, you'll make it out. By going